call the roll. Here.
Present.
Devin Allen, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Dickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitution.
Thank you. Our invocation today will be delivered by Pastor Tim Woody from the City Life Center. Thank you so much for coming out today. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
Let's pray. Almighty God, we come to you today to pray blessing over this assembly of our Tarrant County elected officials. I pray blessing over Judge Whitley and the commissioners, Commissioner Allen, Fickus, Johnson, and my commissioner, Mr. Brooks. Bless their work, bless their families, and also, God, bless their homes. Thank you, God, for their diligent work as they strive to govern my great county. May their work ethic remain strong, doing their work with all their hearts as working for you. For the scriptures say, the plans of the diligent lead to profit. As they make decisions today regarding the needs and the progress of our county, I humbly request the wisdom of God to be present in this room. And may these officials be marked by strong biblical ethics of compassion and creativity and humility. And may the Spirit of the Lord rest upon them, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. Give our elected officials sharp minds and cheerful, bold confidence as they deal with the unique challenges of our rapidly expanding county. And may no divisiveness or mockery or hatred ever discourage these officials. May they use the wisdom of God to come together in this room in a spirit of unity to accomplish what ultimately will honor you as they serve the 2.1 million residents of this, the best-run county in the United States of America. And God, may you be enthroned above all else in my county, Tarrant County. May the glory of God shine brightly from this place, for we invoke your presence here now. Holy Spirit, you're welcome in this place and in these proceedings. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you.
Pastor Woody, I noticed you got that steer on you. Well, I'm going to get it to you.
You know, I had a feeling I was going to get in trouble for wearing this.
Well, you're right. You are. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a courthouse, and next time you can wear the courthouse.
I'll wear it proudly.
Thank you, sir.
Judge.
Pastor, thank you for your prayer this morning and for the shout out.
Mr. Manius.
Well, I hope the rest of the court day goes as bright and cheerful and positive as it started out.
That's always my goal, GK.
Yeah. Members of the court, we have several announcements for you this morning as it relates to the agenda. The first, we do have an audience participation form on one consent item. That's under the administrator section, item 8A5, which is approval of out-of-state travel requests. So we're going to remove that from consent. We also have a speaker audience participation form for both items 1 and 2 under the administrator section. Members of the court, just a couple of other announcements. The court will not be meeting in session on August 31st. It is our fifth Tuesday of the month. Also, I believe that we have a conference that we'll be attending, so there will not be any court on the 31st. We are also going to ask, Your Honor, that we go into closed session today. We have several items we need to speak with the court about. Thank you.
Thank you. Court members, you have before you the minutes of our regular meeting of August 3rd.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Fickus, you need to. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. We have some employees that, again, in our effort to catch up, we're now covering this month September or this week, September and October of 2020. And so I made the calls over the weekend, at least most of the phone calls. And we're going to see how many of them were able to make it today. First is Patrice Harrison with CSCD, I guess it's almost 26 years now. She started out in the sheriff's office in 1994 in the booking and classification, and then moved over to CSCD in, I guess, 98. Started off in electronic monitoring. Then from there, went to victim services, and then over, I guess, to human resources, and as the benefits coordinator, and is now supervisor in human resources. When I asked her what she liked most, she said it was serving the people. She just loved serving the people. She likes giving people jobs, which again, being in HR, in that area, she gets to do that. She said the family connection. She said, I lost my husband, and the department just kind of wrapped their arms around me and took care of me. And she said, I will never forget that. She never thought she'd be here this long. She loves what she's doing. She has a daughter in college, so she says, I'm going to be working a few more years. And she just recently got married. Now, did you have anybody with you? You didn't bring your husband with you this morning?
No, in Dallas right now.
Well, I'm sorry he has to be in Dallas. But we want to tell you, Patrice, how much we appreciate the years of service, 26 years of service you've given us. Now, next, we have Judge Bob McCoy. Come on down, Judge. Now, you can, when you come down, then I'm going to let you kind of recognize some of the folks that you brought with you. But Judge McCoy has been with the county for about 26 years. This is my court. Did you start out with as a judge?
Civil District Court.
Civil District Court. And then I know for a while you were at the appellate court and you got tired of just reading stuff and wanted to come back and, well, you don't have to throw the mask at us, Howard. And then went back to county courts.
Correct.
Memorable moments. Is there something that just kind of sticks out over the 26 years?
Well, I'll tell you this. Civil District Court's about money. Court of Appeals is about reading paper. But misdemeanor criminal court is about helping people and guiding people so that hopefully they won't reoffend. So of the three courts that I've been in, this county criminal misdemeanor court is the best by far to me, because you feel like you're accomplishing something or trying to accomplish something.
What do you like most about working for the county?
The camaraderie of everybody, everybody gets along, everybody helps, nobody backbiting or backstabbing in the arena in which I work. So I like the camaraderie and the helpful attitude that everybody has. And how come I'm the only one that's standing up here answering questions?
Because when I called you yesterday, you were, or this morning, I think we just missed one another. Let's just say that.
Yeah, we did. Okay.
And I knew that you'd be one that could get up here and speak and not just be too embarrassed about getting up in front of people, since you've been doing that for nigh on 26 years. Now, you've got some people, I think.
And I'm running again, so I'm trying to make 30.
Well, see, and that I knew that, and I wanted to help you out there. Did you have some people that
I have a class of A&M law students here, so if everybody would stand up that's an A&M law student. This is a class where 5 mornings In 1 week, we go to every type of court in Tarrant County, from municipal court to federal court, and including commissioner's court. And we talk to the judge and so forth and so on, and kind of learn what they do, including commissioner's court. So they did not come here to see me get a pen. This is just an accident of scheduling, okay?
Sure.
Well, and let me just tell you, because of that, you can also go back here and get cookies, because we've got a little event after this. And I guess my lone bit of advice to you as future attorneys, which I
Watch it.
is, even though in Law 101 they told you to say no, you can find a way to say yes on most things, and you'll make your clients and you'll a whole lot happier that way. Thank you so much for your 26 years of service to the citizens of Tarrant County.
It's been my pleasure.
Next is Darren Seaton with Transportation Services and Radio Technology. Where's Darren? There he is. Darren started out in the radio shop. I guess Glenn Shaw and Ray Edwards hired him, and he said they told him when he came here that that this was a pretty limited job. There wasn't a whole lot of movement upward, and he's still there. And he's been there for 26 years. He said memorable moments was that he could stay there as long as he wanted to, and he has. He said, I can't express how much I've enjoyed working for the county. The family atmosphere, the co-workers, the supervisors. He said, I couldn't find better people. He said, they have been absolutely great, fantastic to me. He thought he'd be here for about a year or so, but then the county became a family. Now, Darren, do you have some folks with you today you'd like to introduce?
Yes. I have my wife and my daughter, Cedar and Sharon.
Thank you all very much for being here. And Darren, again, thank you for your 26 years of service.
Thank you.
Next is Nancy Turnage, Public Health. She's the Lab Operations Coordinator. There she is. Now, here it says about 26 years of service. She's got over 35 years of service. And the reason I say that is she started out in public health when it was Fort Worth and the county. And then you'll remember for a while we went together, and then we split and went to Tarrant County. And Nancy went to Tarrant County. So she's really been around a little over 35 years. In the beginning, she was in the lab, it was a micro 1. And then she became the supervisor, and now she is the coordinator of the lab and operations coordinator. When I asked her about the most memorable moments, she talked about the expansion, the move from university to the new building, and then as a result of the 9/11, there was an expansion for bioterrorism. She said what she likes most is the great atmosphere. She said the county really takes care of its folks. She said there's a lot of diversity. She said there's just every opportunity, different areas. And I hadn't thought about this, but one of the things she said is we deal with a lot of different state and federal agencies, and every one of them got different rules. So she said not only do we have to do a lot of different things, but we always have to be up on the rules for that particular agency. I asked her if there's anything. She's really not one of these people who enjoys being out amongst everybody, and so it's a little bit hard. Nancy, do you have anybody that you brought along that you'd like to introduce?
Bosses.
Bosses. It's always a good thing.
RP and Tal.
Well, again, thank you for not only your 26 years with us, but for your overall experience in the public health area. Now, next was Buck Walker. He is a judge's bailiff over in court number 4, but he wasn't going to be able to attend today. But he's celebrating 26 years, so congratulate him. Next is Kevin Brown, District Attorney's Office, 31 years. He started off in Walker County. He knew Jim Minner. He started in the jail under Don Carpenter. He worked all over the Sheriff's Department, then moved to the DA's office in 1999 and has been really assigned to the DEA ever since. And he said, I love the people that I've had a chance to work with over the years. The county truly is a big family. He said, I've loved working for the county since the day he got here. He said the folks that he's fighting are getting a lot smarter, and they're using technology to make it a lot harder for him and his folks. When I talked to him 6 years ago, he had a 9-year-old grandson who said it was taking up an awful lot of his time. Flash forward, his grandson's now got a driver's permit. He's playing football in high school. He said we've expanded the DEA and it has been really helping, been very helpful. Trying to just keep up with all the changes. He said the one thing I'll tell you is the pandemic may have slowed down a lot of things, but it didn't slow down the drug trade. Kevin, we appreciate very much 31 years of service you've given to Tarrant County. Thank you. Next is Vicki Holmes. Is Vicki here? I didn't think, a lot of times CSCD, those folks will not, they won't come over. We try to get them to. But Patrice did. We appreciate very much Patrice coming over. Next is a fellow that most of us know, David Hudson. David Hudson, yeah, there he is. 31 years with the county. Started off, spent about a year in the misdemeanor area, then went to felony courts for about 5 years, and then moved over to the civil division. He moved over to the civil division about the time I came with the county, so he's been over there for about 25 years. He said when I asked him about memorable moments, it was some of the criminal cases that he's had an opportunity to handle, also some of the civil cases. Most folks in the room won't remember, but for at least 1 year he was the Thanksgiving turkey. And I remember him in that uniform well. Costume might be a better way to put it. It certainly wasn't a uniform. What he liked most was the relationships he's had a chance to make over the years, getting to know folks in the defense bar. He said, we treat people well and we're treated well. And I think that says an awful lot. When I talked with him 5 years ago, he was, or I guess 6 years, he said he had an opportunity to speak all over the state, and it was amazing how much credibility and the reputation of Tarrant County had in the state. He said, when I talked to him recently, he said, we've got a lot of new attorneys around here. We're learning a new way under a new DA. When we stop and think about it, we had Tim for so long. And then Joe came, and Joe was out of the same mold of Tim and was here for just a short period of time. And Sharon is having an opportunity to put her brand on that office. And so it is a new way. David's now the Deputy Chief of Civil. David, we appreciate very much 31 years of service you've given to this county. Thank you. Bobby Minter is also in Sheriff's Courts area. I don't think Bobby was able to make it today. So be sure and congratulate him. Paula Morales, Jury Administration, 31 years. Paula, thank you very much for being here. She started in the jury room when Linda Davis was the jury administrator. At that point in time, they were hand typing the checks that they would give to the jurors. She said she went over to probation and spent about 5 years over there. And then she came back as the jury administrator in 2005. And I remember when you were appointed the jury administrator, and it does just seem like yesterday, and that was 16 years ago. Memorable moments, she said, all the people that I've had a chance to work with. She said all of the excuses that I have heard. She said there was one woman who claimed she had a demon in her leg. All kinds of other things. She said, I've loved the people that I've had a chance again to work with, growing up with folks. The county is really a family. 6 years ago when we talked, she said people are beginning not to hate jury duty anymore. You know, they're beginning to come on with it. Her father had passed away around that time. She said a lot of stuff had happened, and she said, I just don't know if I'd have made it through it if it hadn't been for the support of all the folks in the county. Again, 6 years ago, she had a 14-year-old son who was just starting high school. She started with the county right out of high school, and she's now in her dream job. Just recently, she said COVID has certainly been a challenge. She said 2 years ago I lost my husband, and before that she was able to go on a couple of bucket list trips. And so she said the department again has really come around to her. Son graduated from high school and joined the Marines, so he's just finished boot camp. She said the judges and the staff that she has a chance to work with have been absolutely fantastic. Paula, thank you so much for the 31 years of service. Next is Dusty Zimmerman, Sheriff's Office, 31 years. Where's Dusty? Well, when you see Dusty, congratulate him on his 31 years. He's over in the Civil Courts building. And he said he's seen a lot of his friends retire over the last few years. Next is Janet Grant, Legal Secretary over at Intake. Where's Janet? She has been, let's see here. She started off with the hot checks area and is now in the intake department. She said time's just flown by. So again, thank Janet Grant for her time with the county, and congratulate her when you see her. You're not Janet Grant that just walked in back there, are you? I was going to get you if you did. Last is Hope Harris, and she said she was not going to be able to attend. 35 years juvenile service. She's the Deputy Assistant Director. So when you see Hope, please congratulate her on her 36 years of service. So again, this represents the September and October of 2020, 25 plus years of service for the county. Again, congratulate all of y'all. We've got refreshments. I'd advise you to get back there before the college students do. Cookies are available. Thank you for your service. Let's give them another big hand. And I move that we receive and file the employee recognition.
Second.
A motion is second. Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
I have a quick announcement.
Okay.
Just wanted to make a quick announcement about the pop-up testing, COVID testing that is circulating throughout the county at the various sub-courthouses. So last week it was at Arlington on Thursday and then Mansfield sub on Friday. That will be repeated this week. So from 8 a.m. to 12 noon at the Arlington Sub-Courthouse on Thursday, you can receive drive-through COVID testing. It's on the, well, if it is going to be where it was last week, it'll be on the side of the Sub-Courthouse near Fuzzy's Tacos. And then on Friday in the Mansfield Sub-Courthouse from 8 a.m. to 12 noon in the upstairs meeting room. So you'll definitely just want to look for the signs. Again, 8 a.m. to 12 noon, Thursday at the Arlington Sub-Courthouse on Abram, and then Friday at the Mansfield Sub-Courthouse on Broad. Thank you.
Good. I also want to announce that we also are testing at the Northeast Sub-Courthouse, as we are throughout the county at many of the courthouses. But what was, I thought, somewhat unique and showing kind of the public perception of testing. Last week, we tested and we had 5 people. Yesterday, we had 95 people. So,
I think we had a little over 100 last
Yeah.
week, so the demand is there. I'm sure Vinny is going to talk to us more about that. Yeah.
And we're also testing in Precinct 1 at the sub-courthouses. Go on the website to find the dates and times. In addition, on this coming Saturday, August the 14th, we will be holding the 6th annual Healthy Lives Matter Alzheimer's Education Seminar. It will be at Tarrant County College Trinity River campus from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. The purpose of this event is to give caregivers, both professional and family, information about where resources are available in this community to help them help their loved ones and their clients along the Alzheimer's journey. Also, there will be information about new treatment modalities. There's one out there that bears watching, and we'll have information about it. The event is free. It will include both breakfast and lunch. So if you are caring for someone with dementia, with Alzheimer's, if you need information about resources, come out on this coming Saturday, August 14th, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. to Tarrant County College Trinity River campus, right up the street. We'll help you out.
Commissioner Johnson, do you have any announcements at this time?
Yeah, our health department has a small mobile testing unit 1 day a week for the next 4 weeks.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what day.
All right, thank you. Court members, you have before you the consent agenda with the changes that Administrator mentioned earlier.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the court, if we can go to item number 1 under the administrator section. As we have done in the past, we have provided you with information as it relates to the coronavirus issue. This is mainly encapsulated within the Tarrant County COVID-19 recovery report that is in your red folder this morning. We'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have on this. At the conclusion of that, we're going to ask that you receive and file that report. That's a weekly report. Also, Your Honor, we do have audience participation on this particular item.
Move to receive and file.
Second.
Okay, we can receive and file, but we need to go ahead and do our audience participations first. Mr. Bucher, come forward to talk about not only the vaccine, but while you're up here, you might move on down into, well.
That may be a telephone.
Yeah, you're right, it is a telephone call. We'll try him one more time. If we get a fax, that's it.
Bucher.
Yes, Mr. Bucher, this is Judge Whitley. You've requested to speak on not only the virus and corona-related agenda item number 1, but also on the bond election. So we'll give you 3 minutes on each one of those. So the first 3 minutes will be on the vaccine and corona-related items.
Yes, sir. Okay, as far as the vaccine and the corona-related things, is, article after article I'm seeing, and some of it's even coming out through the CDC, is, and I'll reference to MSNBC with one of their articles came out that 74% of people in Boston, Massachusetts that had contracted the virus or had spread it, this is just astronomical numbers, was 74%, and that was the ones that took the virus. The issue that I'm having is that we need to be biased and impartial. We can't be biased or impartial. We need to make sure that we have all the facts, that it's not just the people that are not getting the vaccine. It's the ones that are getting the vaccines that are spreading even more at an alarming rate. And I think that needs to start being addressed. We need to have the good and the bad put out there so we can have the proper knowledge for those that want to get it, to be able to have the good and the bad, the cons and the pros to it. And that's kind of what I have to say on that part of it when it comes to the vaccine. It's just we need to start having more of the pros and cons and not just, hey, just get the vaccine, just get the vaccine, just get the vaccine, when right now it's proven not to be effective in a lot of areas.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll start the 3-minute clock again for you to speak on the bond election.
Yes, sir. As far as the bond election, at this point in time, we're still hurting, we're still recovering. I don't think a bond at this point in time would be beneficial, especially when we have Fort Worth ISD trying to jockey for a bond, and also Fort Worth in general trying to jockey for a $500 million bond. And the one for Fort Worth ISD is $1.5 billion, and that's an astronomical number for having, they're having a C rating and using $2 million in equity for an equity committee. So I think we need to start looking at, like, hey, is this the right time right now? Especially when, we just sold off, $523 million worth of collateral. I mean, what do we do from moving forward? I just think right now is not a good time for any of the bonds at this point. And that's just all I have to say about that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bucher. Have a good day.
Thank you. Y'all have a good, yes, sir, y'all too.
So, Your Honor, we have a motion and a second to receive and file.
Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
So, at this point, I'm going to ask Mr. Turnage to come up and do his health report at this point.
Good morning, Your Honor, and members of the court. Back again with our weekly briefing. Of course, the pattern continues to go up for all COVID-related indicators, but hospitalizations are on this chart. In Tarrant County, we're at 18.72% hospital capacity consumed with COVID. That's almost 1 in every 5-ish patients. So 819 people in the hospital with COVID. And our pediatric data has been fluctuating a little bit. I think over the weekend we had 29 kids in the hospital with COVID, and I think on Monday they dropped to 19. So luckily, hopefully, some were discharged and back home in recovery. Trauma service area E is at 14.37%. That's 2,233 people in the hospital. And of course, our case numbers I report every morning and the public sees on the dashboard, we're certainly not slowing down by any means. We've had a 1,000 case day, 750 case day, so numbers are pretty high. So we're in a full-on surge. The charts kind of show those numbers. We're in a high level of community spread. All the indicators are, going higher. And I always look for some silver lining and wishful thinking, quite honestly, but the positivity rate, instead of a steep ascend up, it's kind of starting to taper off. So I'm really hoping that that's a sign of good things to come. Maybe we're getting somewhere that we can taper down, but who knows? There's a lot of things along the way that can change the trajectory, but really trying to find a way to look for the positive. Otherwise, it's all bad news on this chart, unfortunately. Here's another chart that we occasionally bring back. You see the steep ascent we had back in the fall, and then as the vaccine came out, it was a flattened curve. The days between 10,000 cases were elongated. We went from having like 10,000 cases in 3 or 4 days to having 10,000 cases in 56 days, 63 days. So it was really slowing down. And then over the last few days, in 16 days, we've added 10,000 new cases. So we're really sharply accelerating. And as a community, we need to come together and take all the actions that we know they work and slow this thing down again. To add on to the burden in the pediatric age group, RSV is not slowing down by any means. The hospital or ER visits in the 0 to 4-year-old age group, they're still sort of climbing. About 14% of the visits are RSV related. And the positivity rate has come down from 50%, but it's hovering between that 40 and 50% mark. That's pretty high. It's putting a lot of burden on pediatrician offices and other hospitals like Cook Children and so forth. So what should we do? Both of these viruses, obviously, they have different solutions. COVID, we have COVID vaccine. Obviously, that's an easy one. But the masking that works for both, because they're viruses that are spread by respiratory droplets, and avoiding large crowds, because people spread it to each other. So those three things combined, layering of strategies is important when the surge is on. When we're in a decline and the cases are low, you can get by with using one strategy. But when the surge is in front of us, layering those strategies makes a very good sense to add up to the protection. Quick update on the vaccine, and I try to just show the one chart. This is one dose only. As you can see, 2 million doses delivered in Tarrant County. 46% of the county of all ages, the residents of all ages have received at least one dose. And if you look at data 12 and above, that's 56%. If you look at fully vaccinated, I think we're behind by about 5 to 6%, about 130,000 people difference, I believe. Similarly, here's the numbers on the demographics. And I know our judge asked about the display of 12 and older on the demographics tab. Your Honor, unfortunately, the breakdown denominator data is not available. We only have like the whole, for the whole county, the big number. Okay, here's the population 12 and older. The last data set is from 2010 census. So we've asked the state demographer to see if they have any breakdown at the county level, zip code level. So far, haven't received anything. So we'll probably have to wait for the other census, 2020 census data to come out to get the new update.
That should be pretty soon.
So we can't ask.
Yeah, we don't have the denominator data. I've asked the team. Otherwise, they would have put it on already.
You should be able to estimate.
We've looked at the American Community Survey and all these other surveys, and there's nothing there that we can use at this point, other than 2010 census data. Because it's breaking down by age group, certain demographics, kind of hard to guess. Our community has grown a lot.
I'm not asking you to guess, I'm asking you to estimate.
I know. But the community has moved a lot.
To estimate.
Yes, sir.
Nothing else, you can call the schools and ask them how many they've got between 5 and 12.
We can try that, but that's not how usually. I mean, we can do that internally, but I don't know that that's ready for public display.
Well, you figure it out, and then I'll determine whether it's available for public
Yes, sir.
display.
Yes, sir. I'll keep asking. I mean, and again, we're waiting on a response from the state demographer, see if they have anything, because they should have state-level data in more detail than what we do from the census. So we'll keep working on it.
Let me know if you can't get it worked out by next Tuesday.
Yes, sir. I will. Brought back the update this week. All right. Back to school. Again, you know, the main focus is back to school vaccines, but we've got COVID vaccine available everywhere. A couple of things we talked about, and I highlighted those. Sundance Square site is doing pretty well, so we've extended the hours. We had tried this in the past. We had gone from 11 to 8. Traffic had really dropped off, so after discussion with them, we had cut it off at 6. But the request came last week, so we've extended that to 11 to 8. And in discussions, they're okay with us trying this first before, you know, trying to add on Saturday, because we've tried Saturdays also in the past, and the traffic was really, really low. I think we were like 5 or 6 people vaccinated. So for now, for the next few weeks, we'll be at Sundance Square on Friday, 11 to 8. And if things look like they're picking up, we'll definitely be looking at adding Saturday. And then the Bagsby Williams Clinic at Miller Avenue, that's our public health clinic, now has a rotating pop-up COVID vaccine only clinic on Mondays, 8 to noon. And we're going to be there about 5 to 6 weeks. And the reason we did this, other locations are doing back to school rotation. And this one, you know, we wanted to make sure the community has access to COVID vaccine. So it's on a pop-up rotation this time around. So Ridgemar Mall, that's our main site right now with every vaccine, you know, for kids, adults, back to school, and COVID. And then there's a rotation. One week ended at Resource Connection last week. This week, I believe we're at Arlington Clinic, the public health clinic on Randall Mill Road. Next week, I believe we're going to be in Watauga. And then the last week of August, we're going to be in the Northwest Clinic in Lake Worth. So again, parents need to use this opportunity to get their kids vaccinated against all back-to-school illnesses that can happen. Some of those vaccines are required to get back to school. Let's get that done.
Vinny, on the Ridgemar Mall, have you tried later hours and it just been unsuccessful? Because it's open during work hours, but you're not opening it. And Saturday, I know you've got it open on Saturday till 2. But have you tried extended hours to see if people who are working?
So we have had extended hours in July. So we kind of expanded our back to school effort. Typically every year, it's everybody kind of mad rushes in August. In July, we did 7 to 7 at our main clinic and 8 to 8 at all other clinics. And we included 9 to 4 on Saturdays on most clinics, and I think 9 to 4 on Sunday at the main clinic, to allow for parents to have access to later hours and weekend hours to bring their kids to get vaccinated. Response was humdrum, not very robust, but it was there. This event is very hard to go longer hours because it's very grueling for the team. It's a lot of different vaccines and a lot of parents and kids that come through. So this has been sort of a tried and tested formula for years that we've tried not to mess with.
And I understand that, and I appreciate that very much. But the years past, we've not had COVID.
I understand. Yes, sir. I'll pass the message along, but these are well advertised, and it's kind of hard to make that change last minute. And again, return on time has been minimal on those evening hours. We've tried it throughout the whole COVID response and other things. Usually around 6 o'clock or later, a lot of people sit down for dinner, and it's hard for us to get them into the clinics. So it's been a little tough. So here's the pop-up clinic schedule. As you can see, you know, there's a variety of things that are booked. One thing I wanted to point out, you'll see a block, I think the week of the August 23rd. It's called, you know, on our calendar, it's Hepe All Teams. What we're doing is we had seen a trend emerge A lot of larger metro areas had hepatitis A outbreaks. A couple of years ago, the big news was in San Diego. Then Houston had some issues. And we had tried to kind of launch a program of vaccinating against Hep A, especially in our homeless population, because a lot of times it sort of starts there. And then COVID hit, and it kind of took a break. And now Dallas apparently has had a bigger issue. About 100 or so cases have occurred in the homeless community. In Tarrant County, there's been about 10 Hep A cases not related to the homeless, but we're just kind of leading ahead to make sure we have vaccinations available, so that way we try to ward off any outbreak occurring here. This is not a public health effort alone. We're partnering with the Tarrant County Homeless Coalition, JPS's True Worth Clinic. So there's a team training, I think, this coming week, and they're going to launch their first effort on the 18th, and then regroup and go almost a full week effort out in the community. The goal is to distribute about 1,000 doses. We received those from DSHS. Hopefully we'll get that many folks to take the vaccine, but we're going to continue to work on this effort till those 1,000 doses are administered. So that's the plan, is try to get the community vaccinated as much as we can ahead of time. Mobile testing. So I was really hoping that we would have to not come back and deal with testing, but best laid plans, unfortunately. So we're back in this schedule, and I know you all mentioned some days, but quickly, Mondays are our day at Northeast Sub-Courthouse. Tuesdays in Precinct 1, so in the morning we're at the Southwest Public Health Center, and in the afternoons at the Miller Avenue Clinic. And then on Wednesdays we're in Arlington, I believe. I might have that. No. Wednesdays we're at the Northwest Public Health Clinic. I got the address all mixed up. So it's in Lake Worth at the Northwest Public Health Clinic on Wednesdays. And Thursdays we're at Arlington. Friday we're at Mansfield. So 6 locations currently, and we're talking about partnering with other entities to expand some testing options. The numbers surprised us. I was thinking it was going to be a handful of samples every day, but it has quite a bit of demand out there. As you can see, we started off with 5, and then yesterday we had 95, so that was quite a jump in a matter of a week, and some of the days were very full, as you can see on the chart at the bottom. So there's certainly demand, and we'll continue to work and see how we can expand capacity to get more people testing options.
Yeah, last week at the Arlington office, I guess it was maybe 8:15, 8:30, and there was already a line of maybe 10, 12 cars. We did receive some feedback about the hours, which I'm assuming as we move forward with expanding the testing options, that we can change the hours to accommodate probably more so afternoon and morning or all day or whatever. But so
yes, and some of the things that kind of get the hours decided is how quickly can we run.
yeah.
Mostly the goal has been to try to run the tests on the same day. So we wrap up by noon, try to bring it to the lab, and hopefully have results same evening. Mm-hmm. On Friday, we got delayed for some reason. Those results had to wait. So a lot of that, and these are just the announced pop-up clinics that we have, and then there's ad hoc things.
Yeah.
There was a women's shelter that needed testing. So all of that gets very hard and confusing to manage. Part of the reason why the hours are limited, but we're aware of the need and we're working on a plan. Yes.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so we have our first West Nile case in Tarrant County. So elderly person, they were hospitalized because it was neuroinvasive, and luckily they're released from the hospital and recovering. So that's good news. I think there was news out there this morning that somebody had passed away in Dallas County, first death in the area for this season and so forth. In the data, we're seeing a slow start, which is good news. Would like to keep it that way. But it involves, again, a community effort. Everybody has to do their part. Wear your DEET spray and make sure your yard and your property's clean of standing water. Empty out the bird feeders and put fresh water every day. As long as that water's fresh and moving, no problem. But if it's stagnating, that's where mosquitoes breed. And they can breed in a little bottle cap size collection of water. So if there's kids' toys, yard equipment sitting around, old containers sitting around, empty those out, because most of the mosquitoes breed on your property and then they end up biting you. So let's take care of our own property, and then of course municipal efforts are definitely underway. As the mosquito traps come positive, cities go out and respond. We go out and respond in the unincorporated area. So we do mosquito spraying, but it has its own limitations. We can't really get back into somebody's property. Some of the yards are big, so people need to take care of their own property, and this thing will stay at bay. That's all I have, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
You know, again, unfortunately, we've seen our trends heading in the wrong direction. And we relax a little bit. Things were getting a little bit back to normal, and we're seeing that relax. And I know we cannot mandate anything anymore, but as you said, and I agree, we need to, when we're out in, we're maybe inside a building, but we're outside of our office, I think we need to begin wearing masks again. I'd strongly recommend that we do that. Again, get vaccinated. If you got some concerns, talk with your doctor, the person who you've trusted your health with for all of your life, or your kids' lives, and listen to them. If you have a reason for not getting vaccinated, then and they do it, then I understand that. But otherwise, we really need to get folks vaccinated. We want to get back to normal. We thought we were getting back to normal. This new Delta variant is very contagious. So I really want to strongly urge folks to, when you're around a large group, if you're inside and you're not in your office, let's get the mask back on. And we understand where the governor's coming from, but businesses are going to be affected. We don't want to affect businesses. Our hospitals are beginning to fill up again. And that has always been our top priority, is to keep the hospitals open. And I can just tell you, I talk with the hospital CEOs weekly. And while they still feel good about where they're at, I heard this morning that the governor is at least asking them to consider cutting back on elective surgeries again in an effort to try to make sure that the hospitals do not have to close down. And I think, we need to do it. We need to try to do our part. And so I would just strongly recommend that we go back to wearing the masks, especially when we're not within our own offices and we're within a building, and avoid large crowds. Just let's try to get back under control. So thanks, Vinny, and
thank you.
Again, give me an estimate. You can estimate.
I will go back and ask our team again.
And
no
if
problem.
they can't come up with a good estimate, just let me know early in the week, and I'll go ahead and find somebody who can give me one, and that's the denominator you can begin to use.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Just a final note on that particular issue. I read an article this morning that said in Texas hospitals, from February till mid-July, 99.5% of all COVID patients did not have a vaccination.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's, well, I won't even tell you what I think it is.
So, members of the court, we can now move to item number 2. This concerns our bond package. We're requesting that the Commissioners Court approve the attached order, which is in accompanying form, to call for a bond election. There's 2 propositions. The first proposition is a $400 million transportation bond program. The Proposition B is a $116 million criminal district attorney office building to provide space for prosecutorial efforts and other non-judicial county activities and facilities to support thereof. The election is to be held November 2nd, 2021.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I've got a question. So it references, the order references early voting locations, and it directs you to Exhibit A, but Exhibit A doesn't have anything. Is that typical, or
Right. Well,
that would
so
be determined later?
let me ask the attorneys to come up here and explain. I could explain, but let me get them to talk about it, okay?
Hello.
Good morning, Commissioners. It's a good comment. I think it's in Section 3. It allows for the automatic update of that table. That information simply isn't available right now, but before these notices get published and posted around the county, we're supplied by the elections administrator with the appropriate Exhibit A. But because that information, again, is just never available by the time you're required by law to call the election, we have to just throw that in at a later date. But again, Section 3 provides explicit permission to amend it to provide the information provided by the elections administrator.
Very good. Okay. That's all I have.
Any other questions or discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the court, we could now move to item number 5.
Before we move on, GK.
Yes, ma'am.
So now that we've done that, I guess a few weeks ago you'd explained the next step would be to talk about the education or marketing efforts for it. When can we expect an update on the plan for that?
So let me speak generally about that at this time. The county is going to prepare a brochure to be just informational as it relates to this. By statute, we cannot promote the bond package itself.
Sure.
And so we're going to be doing that. We're working with other entities to make sure that that educational material is out there. And then there'll be some other conversations that we will have, not on county time, but information that we'll need to use to go forward on it.
Very good.
Okay. So our office is the one who generally has always generated that informational packet, and we'll continue to do that. Members of the court, we can now go to item number 5. This is a out-of-state travel request. We do have an audience participation on this particular one, Your Honor.
Yes, Thomas Torlincasi. Please come forward and speak to this item. Again, 3 minutes, and I believe what we'll do is after that, you also had wished to request, discuss due process, which an item was not on the agenda. We'll go ahead and do that after you've done this one.
All right. Judge Whitley, Commissioners, I come here as a regular taxpayer. This is the perfect opportunity to tie a consequence or an incentive to the performance of the Sheriff's Office. I've talked to you twice before about the difference between price and cost. Today, we have a chance to save the taxpayers $2,400 plus labor burden, probably $10,000. And the cost is because there's some savvy attorneys out there that are in the midst of suing our county or about to sue our county. And they're going to pay attention to what you do when you have the opportunity as the legislative branch to keep the executive branch in check. And by that I mean the number of incidents that have happened in the last year. Many other counties use this exact instance to curb misbehavior or inappropriateness by their sheriff. And I can give you a list of examples if you need them. Instead of having Wayward Wayburn go to Boston for 6 days on the payroll and paying for it, maybe he needs to stay home more often. I've mentioned that before. There are a number of days, nearly 100 days, when he's been out of county or away from his desk last year when a number of incidents that you know about have occurred. The death of a newborn, 3 deputies assaulting and oppressing inmates, not providing an honor guard for one of the deputies because he applied his particular religious perspective. That potentially is a lawsuit. Pass an inspection for a year before you go traveling anywhere at the taxpayer's expense. These are real costs that frugal, conservative commissioners ought to care about. Because what you do today on this simple one-line item vote, the attorneys will pay attention to. There aren't a whole lot of other ways to give a message to the Sheriff's Department other than to let the leader of the Sheriff's Department know that there's a consequence or an incentive to the results that he's been missing out on for a substantial period of time.
that okay? Thank you for your comments there. Now, you had also requested to speak on an item that's not on the agenda regarding due process, and you have 3 minutes to do that also.
All right. I saw in the media yesterday that Judge Gallagher, I don't know if he's the administrative judge, but he described a plan to start clearing out the jail of the unadjudicated inmates. What was unfortunate in his comments, and what troubles me, is the number of civil rights that have already been violated. This is a countywide responsibility. It isn't just the county commissioners, it isn't just the sheriff, and it isn't just the district attorney's office. But Judge Gallagher said that they were going to do plea bargains at about 100 inmates a day. Well, that's movement, starting on August 30th. How about tomorrow? My second point to that is, we all know, and the Innocence Project will confirm, that 12 to 17% of the people who plea bargain in large metro counties are actually innocent, and they make a trade-off. They do a cost-benefit analysis, and they accept a plea. But the worst and most troubling thing that Judge Gallagher said was, and for those that claim to be innocent, we'll give them a trial. It's very deeply disturbing if the district court judge thinks that the people are claiming to be innocent, because we still are supposed to be operating in a system where everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, sir.
So, members of the court, on item number 5 under the administrator section, staff is recommending approval of out-of-state travel requests as listed in the court communication.
Okay, I guess at this point in time, we're not going to take any action on approving the request for out-of-state travel.
Quick
This
question.
is not for the sheriff, is it? It's for one of his employees?
This is actually is for the sheriff, Commissioner Johnson.
Oh, it is?
So we have 2 requests. One is for juvenile services and one for the sheriff's department. Would you all like to do the juvenile services travel request?
I'll move for the juvenile services.
Yes.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the juvenile services out-of-state travel request. Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Okay.
I move we approve the travel request for the sheriff.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-2.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Glenn?
Move to receive and file the personnel agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the personnel agenda. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Good morning, and thank you.
Morning.
We have a few more items for the court. Our second item, we're asking the court to approve an extension of project employment. This is for the district clerk's office. Mr. Wild is requesting a 1-year extension for a project temp that's been assigned to their massive scanning project. As noted in your communique, this employee has worked the initial 2-year period of time. We came back and asked for an additional year, so that would make 3 years. So this request is for year 4. And if approved, there will be no impact to the general fund. These are all district clerk technology funds. And Commissioner Brooks, you always give me the eyebrow. This particular employee has not sought full-time employment.
This particular employee
Has not sought full-time employment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
So our next item, we're asking the court to approve a double fill as well as a waiver for facilities management. These requests are tied to the retirement of Tracy Pele. She'll be leaving at the end of October. So Mr. Reyes again is requesting, Mr. Reyes is requesting a double fill for about 6 weeks. He has identified her replacement, so he'd like for them to be able to train side by side before she leaves, as well as a waiver of 400 vacation hours. We're estimating, well, there are a couple of different estimates, so you see that in your court communique, but in whole, the double fill request through October will be $29,288. Waiver will be about $36,000, but some of that will be offset by salary savings of about $33,258.
Move for approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We have one last item. We're asking the court to approve table of organization changes to the county administrator's office, the auditor's office, and budget and risk management. So in summary, the county administrator is requesting 14 positions, 9 data analysts. Of course, all of these positions, let me just say, will be involved in COVID-related programming and projects. So again, Mr. Manius is requesting 9 data analysts, 3 communications outreach specialists to help with outreach, 2 program evaluation specialists, so those are his 14. Audit is requesting 4 data analysts, and then budget is requesting 1 program evaluation specialist. All positions, if approved by court, will be effective August 1st. Those positions that require evaluation have already been evaluated by JEC. We are estimating an annual impact to ARPA funds of about $1.6 million and an annual impact to the ERAP grant of about $293,000 and some change. And of course, as the court is aware, any sort of positions that are funded by grants or other such special funds, once those funds are no longer available, then the positions go away. And there's no obligation, of course, unless the court desires to have any grant funds come into play.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. So that last statement basically said it's all grants.
Yes, sir.
None of this goes into our general revenue
That's correct.
funds.
Correct.
Any other discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Purchasing, Ms. Lee.
Morning.
Good morning. We have 4 items for your consideration. The first item is an award recommendation for RFP number 2021-062. This is our annual contract for Tech Refresh Program for Information Technology, awarding to CDW Government per contract terms. If approved, we're also requesting contract approval.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
The second item is also an award recommendation regarding RFP number 2021-107. This is an annual contract for intensive Spanish language mental health services for juvenile services, awarding to Lena Pope Home in the amount of $25,000. If approved, we're also requesting contract approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
The third item is an award recommendation regarding RFP number 2021-110. This is our annual contract for pharmacy services and for prescription drug dispensing for public health, awarding to Reset Pharmacy and Walgreens per the terms of the contract. If approved, we're also requesting contract approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
And the last item is an approval of an invoice payment for mobilization and rental of barricade fencing for facilities management to site barricades in the amount of $1,215. And this was an unauthorized purchase.
Move approval.
Second, if we can get an explanation.
Is Marvin trying to buy some barricades? You gonna donate those to the county?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
So first off, thank you for helping me out and helping the department out with the assistant director position. You had asked a question about whether we'd be able to do all those projects. I think it was last week, and so this is a very key position. And so again, thank you for the help with that. So as far as this is concerned, this was a project that we had, a door and lock project. We needed some storage over at the plaza, and so we thought that this action item was part of the scope of work. It ended up not being, and we ended up getting back charged for it. And so basically the internal fix to this is we spoke, and while we process thousands of purchase orders per year, and we made this one mistake, I let my department know that the baseline is 0. It's not 1, it's 0. And so that's the internal fix that we have.
So are we gonna pay for it, or are we gonna let him donate it?
He's a rookie. Maybe he learned his lesson.
Lesson learned.
Is that a motion?
Have you made it?
We already have a motion.
Okay. Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Brooks, I believe you have an interlocal agreement.
I believe I do. And it would be 8 J, 1, A, and B, an interlocal with the Fort Worth Independent School District. I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Are there any appointments today? Being none, then we will move on to the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims, including the addendum. Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Manius,
Thank you,
briefing
Your Honor.
items.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, we have several items under briefing that we'd like to bring to the court this morning. The first one is item B, which is the community development and housing update. Mr. Camarano is here to address the court initially, and then we have a presentation. This is a presentation that the court had requested on both community development and housing.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So Mr. McClinton and Mr. Pollard will be up to make a brief presentation to you this morning. I just want to make a couple of notes. There were quite a few items on the agenda that caused some questions a few weeks ago about how community development grants are awarded, how they're dispersed, how subrecipients are selected. So you'll find out about that in their presentation today. One important note I want to make is nothing in the presentation alludes to any of the COVID-related funding that they've received. So they will come back in our last work session on ARPA funding and on COVID funding in September. And so just keep that in mind today as you listen to their presentation. Thanks.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Your Honor. Court.
Mayor. What's the mayor always?
Always the mayor.
As he said, we wanted to give a brief review of functions of the Community Development and Housing Assistance Office. And so most people say, well, what is community development? Well, it's a process where the community comes together, and what we do is we collaborate with and facilitate a lot of that coming together to collect action and generate solutions to common problems in the community. So one of the main functions that we do is housing affordability. What we found out is there's no state or county where a renter working full-time at minimum wage in this country can afford a two-bedroom apartment. We do notice that minimum wage is rising, and so hopefully that'll help, but we are not there yet. In Tarrant County, it'll take a household 108 hours to afford a modest one-bedroom apartment at minimum wage. That's a bit shocking.
It's almost 3 full-time jobs.
That's correct. We use a lot of acronyms in our business, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to see what those are and for you to keep those handy in case you hear those terms throughout this. So who do we serve? Both departments serve low-income households experiencing homelessness, family reunification, single head of households, families, veterans, disabled, and people 62 and better. These grants allow us to perform short and long-term planning, and so we do reasonable development, we are responsible for development and annual action plans, 5-year consolidation planning documents. We do that through assessing affordable housing and community development needs and market conditions so we can make our decisions based on data-driven information. It serves as a framework for a community-wide dialogue in which we try to get into the community and talk with just about everyone that we try to do business with and our partners. We like working together with them. We work with CHODOs who are private developers and create affordable housing opportunities for low-income individuals and households. We do that through new construction as well as acquisition and rehabilitation of single-family and multiple-family developments. Those developments have long-term affordability periods, and that allows us to keep people housed for long periods of time. I put this slide up because I wanted you to have an opportunity to see how we reach into the community throughout all of your areas in the county. We have a homeowner rehabilitation program. Most of those homes that we assist with do not stand up to code. And so we work with contractors to improve electrical, foundation, plumbing, roofing, and winterization. And so, again, you can see those pinpoints throughout the county that we have a far reach. And we're increasing our contract participation to make sure we reach as many people as necessary that the funds allow. As you know, we work with the Mayor's Council, and so we do a lot of public infrastructure improvements. We partner with those cities outside of Arlington and Fort Worth, of course, to complete drainage, street, water, and sewer line projects. We also work with the other entitlement cities. We try to facilitate their funding. We draw down the funding and work with them, and we split them in 2 groups, and so they get funding every other year to make sure that they're covered also. We do quite a bit with homeless prevention, and we do that through rental assistance, and that's provided to families earning less than 30% of their area median income. The assistance is provided up to 3 months, and we build and foster relationships with landlords and property managers and work with clients for long-term success. Homelessness programs, we work closely with nonprofits to advance emergency shelters, rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing program activities to address homelessness in Tarrant County. And so that goes back to what Christian was talking about earlier, those contracts that you see from time to time. Those are the agreements we work with the people in the community, the organizations in the community, to make sure that they continue to be able to provide services to people who find themselves in this situation. And so all you're doing is basically ratifying and letting everyone know that you support those programs and the support that we give to those programs throughout the community. We hope to minimize trauma and dislocation caused by homeless individuals, families, and communities, and we promote access to and effective utilization of Main Street programs. We try to optimize self-sufficiency and serve as administrative partner to expand the capacity of those local organizations and agreements. Mr. Wayne?
Good morning. Still morning, correct? Yeah, good morning. I came up here a few weeks ago and I talked about the Housing Choice Voucher Program known as Section 8. We have 3,400 voucher holders in Tarrant County. That's about 1,100 increase 10 years ago. So we're making improvements. We are getting more and more families coming onto the program, and we're getting more awards from HUD. Out of the 3,400, majority of these vouchers we're getting over the last couple years are directed towards certain populations, mainly disabled families and homelessness. That's where a lot of the new vouchers are going toward. We got programs for veterans called the VASH program, Veterans Affairs Supportive Housing, where we receive referrals from the Veteran Administration Office. We have a family reunification program where Child Protective Services refer homeless youth or kids that are in the foster care system unable to go home because they have no home to go to. So we're able to provide service for them during this time. We recently got some emergency housing vouchers to get families off the street, but those referrals will have to come from Tarrant County Homeless Coalition. And then we have the non-elderly disabled population that we serve. Inspections. We take inspections extremely seriously in our office. 95% of our inspections, when we go out to the homes the first time before a family moves in, pass inspections. On our annual inspections, about 89% of them pass inspections. The ones that fail is usually tenant-related issues, moving smoke detectors and things like that. So that would cause us to fail that inspection. In 2020, we had 43 complaint inspections. Our participants are not quiet. If there's problems going on in their units, they will definitely let us know. And we respond pretty swiftly to make sure that they're in a safe, decent, sanitary homes at all times. We offer different programs. One of the programs we offer with families is called Family Self-Sufficiency. This is a 5-year program that HUD gets additional budget for to provide FSS coordinators. The families can be on a program for 5 years where they set goals to become self-sufficient. They also can get escrows. And part of that piece, they can go toward home ownership. Since 2010, we have a home ownership program where we help subsidize people's mortgage. You can do it for 15 years. The families have to qualify on their own. So far, we had 24 families that have been part of that program. The average stay is about 7 years. None of our families have defaulted on their loans to date, so we're very happy about that. We also offer other classes. We believe in helping families become self-sufficient. We offer classes for helping them become job readiness, preparing for college. We do mentoring programs. We offer monthly classes to help improve their self-esteem. Some of our families have never rented a unit before, so we spend time working with them how to be a good renter, also how to be a good neighbor. These classes are mandated for all of our participants as they come onto the program because we want to make sure that we have enough units available. As I move to the last slide, the landlord's recruitment. This is a very important part. Our landlords play a major role in what we do. Without our landlords, we don't have a program. We have about 750 landlords across the county, and we try our best to continue to work with them. We have a hotline for them to call if there's any problems, get direct services for them, any issues going up, because we want to be very responsive. It's a big challenge in the Section 8 world to trying to get landlords to participate in our program. Too often they hear the bad stories about the program. We have monthly meetings with our landlords. I'm personally teach the classes because I want to make sure they hear strictly from me about what's going on in the program. Okay, that's it.
So, Your Honor, on the next slide, not too far. I want to give you a snapshot of the funds and how those funds are utilized and how the decisions are made. Of course, you've just heard about the Housing Assistance Program. That's about $30 million. And those funds are going to landlords and property managers and trying to provide services to the people that we serve. The Community Development Block Grant Funds, about $4.3 million. We work with sub-recipients who actually perform those duties. Those decisions are made by Mayor's Council Ranking Committee. The COC, or Continuum of Care funds, about 4.2, also go to subrecipients, and they have an allocation committee that prioritizes those committees and how those funds are being used. We have $1.4 million in home funds, and the Commissioners Court Ranking Committee facilitates that allocation, and that's only in case there's more applications than we have money. Usually if we have enough money, we fund all those programs. And then the Emergency Solutions Grant is about $240,000, and of course, again, the Commissioners Court Ranking Committee takes care of that allocation distribution. I wanted to give you another picture of some of the organizations that we work with and we partner with throughout the community. And so you'll see some of they're all your favorites. I was going to say some of your favorites, but they're all your favorites. But those are the community.
You can tell he's been an elected official.
Those are the organizations, as you can see. I just wanted to publicly, at this point, thank all of the dedicated and professional staff that we work with on a daily basis to provide these services throughout the community, and I hope you will join me in thanking them. They do a wonderful job, and they're going to be asked to do more.
I know you've got some of them back there. If you're a part of community development, would you stand up and let us thank you again for everything you do?
And so, finally, we stand for questions.
Yeah, one, thank you for the update. Two is a request. I would like a snapshot of what your department's efforts look like, particularly in Precinct 2.
Okay.
And just kind of a summarization of, from the residents that you're serving, what are some of the overarching issues, which I'm sure none of them would surprise me, but I always want to make sure that I don't assume.
Okay, we'll do that and we'll get that to you.
Thank you.
Prepare for all of them.
Okay. We can break that down.
Any other questions? Thank you all.
Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, James.
Sure.
Members of court, we only had one additional budget issue that we were going to talk to you about. It dealt with Justice Peace Swearingen. He is currently in trial. There's not a necessity for us to do that today, because this will be an ongoing agenda item until we pass the budget itself. So we'll try to get Judge Swearingen over here maybe next week to talk with the court. With that, Your Honor, we do need to go into closed session today, but that's all we have this morning.
So then we'll recess our open meeting to proceed to close to discuss items exempted under Section 551.071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Government Code. Having returned from closed session, there being no business to conduct at this time, we stand adjourned.
That'll work.